Tonight, I'm playing poker in one of the most unique settings to date on the vlog. Arnold is a subscriber who lives out in Elgin, a suburb just west of Chicago, and he just so happens to own a barbershop called Ace Studios. He invited me over for a fresh cut, followed by some delicious asada tacos, and of course, tons of drinks. My friends Lucas and Ryan got the night started with some throat blasters, pause, and then we took the action straight to the poker table. We pick up the action in the very first hand. We have King 10 offsuit and flop ourselves top pair. When the action checks to me, I decided to go for a $17 bet.
$17.38.
And we only pick up one customer, that's Dakota, and the turn comes the 8 of spades. Check on the turn, and the river pairs the board with the Queen of Hearts. He checks once again, and I decide to go for the minimum bet, $3, just trying to get called by ace high, maybe a hand that has a 4 in it, pocket 5s, pocket 6s, and after a little bit of chuckling, Dakota decides to pay me off. I say you're good. I've got a slow roll here in the very first hand, set the tone early, let the players know that it is straight carnage on the poker tables. He turns over 6-4 of diamonds, and we show the king taking down a $90 pot.
Hey, welcome to the game, Cody.
Very next hand, the $6 straddles out. I raise it up to $15 with a suited ace. Victor calls out of the straddle, and the flop comes Jack 7 deuce with 1 spade. I decide to go for a $10 bet, and Victor puts in the call. The turn is music to my ears. It gives me a gut shot to the straight and a backdoor nut flush draw. So of course, when he checks to me for a second time, gonna load the clip here and fire out for $40. But Victor's a sticky player. He puts in the call, and I decided to do something fun here and turn over one card, the ace of spades, before the river card comes out. In these small stakes games where I'm invited to people's home games, essentially, I want to do fun things and give some action and make poker fun. So we turn over the ace of spades. Hopefully this doesn't bite me in the butt, but the river comes the 5 of clubs. Victor checks it over to me once again, and I decide to go for the final barrel. I rip my entire stack all in. Covering Victor, it's a $125 jam, and he goes into the tank. While he's thinking about what to do, it looks like he's trying to get some information on me because he flashes the 7 of hearts. He's trying to get a read, but of course I'm not going to give him anything. A pair of 7s is good here, but ultimately he does decide to fold, but not before saying something funny, and of course I have to needle him. I'm 2 for 2 on the night.
Alright, you're good. You're right. Good, I'm loving it.
In hand number 3, the $6 straddle is out there. Sergio opens it up to $16, and I 3-bet him all the way north up to $45. He decides to put in the call, but before we can see the flop, I do something fun here and rip my entire stack all in, covering him. He only has $67 left. When the flop comes 10-6-4, Sergio is not happy with my blind shove. He wants more information, so I gave Victor some free info on the last river. I'm gonna give Sergio a free card here, and he turns over the Jack of diamonds. After a little bit of hemming and hawing, a little bit of Hollywood, he's not gonna call here, surely. He folds his cards, and pocket jacks are good in this $167 pot. All right, Jack King off now from the low jack. There's a raise to 12. A few calls, I put in the call, and we are going multi-way to the flop. When it comes 10-9-4, all I have is 2 overcards and a gutter to the straight. A queen would be the gin card on the turn. I don't want to see a club. Alex bets out for 20. The player to my right puts in the call, and of course, I'm going to call with my 2 overs and a gut shot. I find the call, and the king of clubs peels off on the turn. It's a very spicy card. Obviously, we now have top pair, but it brings in the front door flush draw, also brings in some straights like queen jack. So of course, I'm not going to lead out into my opponents. I start with a check. Alex fires out for $45. I can't be folding when I make a better hand. I put in the call, and the river comes gin. It's the queen of spades. We now upgrade our hand to a straight. So on the flop, we just had king high. On the turn, we had a pair. The river, we have a straight. Of course, there are better straights out there, and of course, flushes. But in a $222 pot, I gotta like my chances. Alex quickly fires out for $75, and I snap call him. I'm not gonna fold my straight, and sure enough, he turns over the nut flush. So we finally lose a pot here at Ace Studios, but I'm happy it's going to Alex because he's the one who brought all those delicious tacos, and you better believe I'm getting my money's worth tonight. Let's head over to the taco stand once again. All right, next hand, we have the clubs. Ace-3 of clubs from the +1. There's a straddle limp, and I raise it up to $26. Alex puts in the call. We're going heads up to the flop, which comes Ace-King-4. We flop top pair. Out of position, I decide to go for a $15 bet, and he puts in the call. When the turn comes, the 10 of diamonds. Could be betting, could be checking. I think my hand is kind of weak. Of course, I have top pair, but he easily could have a hand like Ace-5, Ace-9, Ace-Jack, Ace-Queen. So I think it's much better to go into check call mode as opposed to bet, get raised, and now I don't know what to do. So I check, he bets 40, I find the easy call, and the river gives me 2 pair, but it's a double-edged sword because the backdoor diamond draw is now complete. Still, 175 in the middle. I look over at Alex's stack, he has around 105 behind. So we're drinking some Modelo's, some Micheladas. The drinks are flowing, I'm feeling pretty good. I made 2 pair, it's pretty unlikely he has that beat with a flush or a better 2 pair or even a straight. So I jam it in for 105 and he folds saying that's what he was gonna do. So
Wait, that was your play? I checked. Jake, I checked.
did I make a little misstep there? Should I have just checked it over to him? He bets and I call. I don't know. I thought he might have paid me off with a worse ace or maybe a hand like king queen, but either way, back on the winning train here, $280 shipped over my way. Right, straddle's on, double straddle on to 12. I raise it up to 35 with ace-8 of clubs. It's a call to $35. Oh wait, there's a few calls. We call this Texas heads up, but we're in a suburb of Chicago. Some interesting things developing here, and we flop gin on an ace-5-4 with 2 club board. It's just not fair. I have top pair, I have the nut flush draw. How do I want to play this? Well, all the strategy goes out the window when Alex jams his $97 stack in the middle. Action folds around to me. Of course, I have to put the money in the middle. Do I raise here and try to get more, or do I just call and string people along? I think that's the much better play, $97 in the middle. No matter what I do here, it looks kind of strong. It looks like I have an ace, but little does he know, I also have the redraw with the clubs. We're gonna run this board out twice. The first board gives me the nut flush right away, the queen of clubs, followed by the 10 of spades. On the second board, it runs out queen 6. He turns over 6-7 of spades for an open-ended straight draw, and that is no good, sir. We are taking down yet another pot. And usually when you win a big pot, you take it with grace. You tap the table, you don't say much, but of course, I'm hammered at this point, so I'm not on my best behavior. All right, $6 straddle on, $12 straddle, $25 straddle. So somehow this 1-3 game in a suburb of Chicago is now turned into basically $10.25. There's a limp to $25. Action on me with queen 9 of diamonds. That's a premium here. I raise it up to $69. My friend, editor, content strategist, whatever you want to call him, he wears many hats. He 3-bets me to $162. An oddly specific sizing there, Lucas, eh? Action folds back around to me. I have him covered. He has around 462 in his stack, and I'm thinking about it for a while. Straddle versus straddle here, the ranges should be pretty wide. Lucas knows exactly how I play because let's face it, he edits about 60 hours of videos a week of me, so he knows that I'm definitely capable of raising here light. So his 3-bet doesn't have to be just aces and kings. Ultimately, I decide to fold, but I let the table know that I really wanted to jam it all in, and he kindly shows that he was up to some mischief there. 9-7 of spades. So my jam would have worked. Even if he called it off there, he was completely dominated, but gotta give props where it's due. Nice play, Lucas. You are taking down a nearly $300 pot. You thought we were all done with the throat blasters? Absolutely not. Our beloved dealer Jake is victim number 2. We bribed him with doing a throat blaster of his own. He made the vlog. I think Jake could use a throat blaster.
No,
Let's just hope the quality of his dealing does not go down as easy as that beer did for Jake. What would a Wolfgang poker vlog be without myself participating in the festivities? I call on Lucas to administer the throat blast, and I can't promise this will be a regular on the vlog. All right, back to what you guys came for. It's surely not us chugging beer. As you can see though, the beer and alcohol has really taken its effect on the table. We have a limp, a raise, a call. I 3-bet to 69, a preferred sizing from myself. Alex decides to call the $69 bet, and we flop ourselves absolutely nothing on an 8 deuce deuce board. I think it would be appropriate to take one stab at this and then give up. A $55 bet is in order, and Alex finds the call. The turn comes the 3 of spades and the action goes check, check. When the river comes the 5 of hearts, my line doesn't make too much sense to go for a bluff, so I decide to check. I have some showdown value with my ace high. Perhaps I beat hands like Jack 10 of spades or 9 10 of hearts, something like that. But when I check, he checks behind, and $284 is going over his way because he had 9 8 of spades. All right, in this next hand, we're gonna do something fun, yet irresponsible. Cody raises up to $15, 2 calls over to me. I decide to put in the call blind. Yes, I have not looked at my cards yet, and the flop comes 8-8-3. The action checks through, and now I look at my cards when the turn comes the king of clubs, and it looks like we have 3 of a kind. What is our fortune? Unfortunately, the action checks through once again. No one wants to put more money in the middle, and the river card improves our hand once again. We now have a boat. 8's full of 7s. There's $60 in the pot. Should I go for the check raise, or should I bet myself? Well, given the fact no one bet on the flop and the turn, I think it's unlikely anyone else puts more money in the middle themselves, so we're going to entice them with a $55 bet. Dakota puts in the call, and Sergio thinks about it for a while before ends up putting in the call for himself. When the cards hit their backs, Dakota shows Jack 5 of clubs for the rivered flush. Of course, we're not going to show our cards right away. Let's make this interesting. Sergio turns over 2 pair, ace king, some monster hands here. I turn over the 7 of spades, letting them know potentially I just have 2 pair. Dakota gets all excited before I slow roll him for the second time of the evening. I turn over the 8 of spades. Look at his smile slowly seep off of his face. That's the realization of a player knowing that $225 is not his anymore, and instead it's coming over to its rightful place. Alright, why is everyone creepily standing in the background of this video? Well, we're playing the nit game, but we're playing it the old-fashioned way, where everyone has to stand up. When you win a hand, you sit down, and if you're the last person standing, you owe $10 to every person at the table. Well, in this hand, we have ace 7 of clubs, a pretty good hand. There's a raise to 30, a call in front of me. I decide to call, and one other player does as well. We're going multi-way to the flop, and it comes gin, king, queen, deuce, bang! We flop the nut flush. The action unfortunately checks over to myself. I fire out for $10 and one player calls. Action's over to the dealer, Jake, who raises it up to $80. How can this hand get any better? We're playing the nit game. Of course I want to win a hand. I flop myself the nut flush, and now we get check raised by the dealer. Of course, I'm going to put in the call here. Maybe we're going to pick up another customer. No, he folds heads up with Jake to the turn, which isn't great. It pairs the board with a king of spades. Jake fires out small for $60. Of course, I snap call him, and the river card comes another scare card to a hand like queen jack or ace king. It comes the 4 of clubs. Will Jake continue to bet, or will he slow down and check? After a little bit of pause, he sheepishly taps the table and looks over at me and smiles. Of course, I gotta go for a little bit more value. I don't think he's gonna call a large bet, so I go for my patented Cinco de Mayo bet, $55, and he looks like he's in a weird spot. It's such a small bet that he can't really fold. There's $466 in the middle, but surely he knows at this point that I have him beat. But he does something strange now. Instead of just calling or folding, which I expect him to do, he check raises me to 125. The board is paired, but I have the ace of clubs in my hand. Of course, I'm going nowhere. I find the call, and he says we are good. He turns over queen 10 of hearts. I'm not exactly sure why he raised there. Maybe he was trying to bluff me off the hand, but he definitely should have gone for a much larger sizing if he wanted to tell the story of a boat. Instead of him taking down $600, it's myself, and I get to take a very well-earned seat at the table.
I flopped it. I mean, I'm the best.
It's just not fair when they give the good players the good cards. Here's another example of that. Somehow, I didn't get it in horizontal form for the vlog, but I filmed it in vertical form for my shorts. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, I have nearly 800,000 followers over there, and I post a lot of fun content like this. We get it in all in versus Dakota, ace king versus ace 8, and of course he spikes at 8 on the flop to switch the equities and take down a $300 pot. So in case you guys thought that I always run pure, that's an example there. Cody getting me back for the 2 slow rolls I've already delivered to him today. All right, I put the $12 straddle out there, a few limps over to myself. I decided to go for a tricky play here with a Jack-6 offsuit, raise it up to $75, and just try to take it to the streets. When everyone folds, it just shows that sometimes pure aggression will win you money in poker. You don't always have to have the best hand, you just have to play the players. Now I'm in the $6 straddle. The 12 and 25 are both out there, so once again, a big spot developing. Jake raises it up to $80, a great sizing from him. I decided to go large here to 200, just gonna target Jake. I think he's trying to take down some of the dead money, and I think this 3-bet will clear out a lot of hands like pocket 5s, 6s, and 7s, all of which have me beat. That folds out the 2 straddlers back over to Jake, who rips it all in. It's a 4-bet jam to $461. I don't love to see that because, of course, all of those pocket pairs I just mentioned are not jamming it all in. This is most likely ace-king, ace-queen, ace-jack for the chop, king-queen suited, maybe hands like pocket 10s, 9s, jacks, queens, kings, and of course he could have aces, but I didn't invest $200 to fold for nearly 261 more. It's a fun game here at Ace Hair Studios out in Elgin. Jake has been dealing all night, so of course I want to give him some action as well, and of course there's always that small chance that I might be ahead. So after a little hemming and hawing, I find the call. It's a $962 pot, and Jake got his hand caught in the cookie jar. Ace-5 of hearts. He's doing a very GTO play here.
It was ace jack. That was ace jack. You should just be folding ace jack.
We're in a great spot in a nearly $1,000 pot. What situations here will we lose to? Well, of course, if he makes a flush, if he hits a 5, that would be a 3-outer, so very unlikely there. And of course, he could back into a wheel, so a 2, 3, 4 would give him the best hand. We're gonna run the board out twice, meaning each board is responsible for half of the pot, so nearly $500 for each board. And the first board is coming my way. The second board comes 9, 8, 7. The turn comes a jack of diamonds. And before the river comes out, Lucas announces he wants to see a 6. I'm not exactly sure why, my brain isn't computing fast enough. But Jake puts out the 6 and starts cheering, and then I realize he made a straight. He hit the gut shot on the river for the 5-card straight, and we're gonna chop up this $962 pot. I'm not exactly sure why Lucas is so excited that I lost this pot, but if it makes you happy, buddy, give me the bird there. I'm spreading the money around the table. Maybe they're just tired of me winning. I don't know, but I'm happy that other people are happy, I guess. And of course, I'm getting half the pot, so it can't be that bad. All right, 2 more hands to go from Arnold's hair studio here. Ace Studios out in Elgin. Come check them out. There's a few limps. I look down at 6, 4 of hearts. I decided to raise it up to $35, and Victor jams his entire stack all in. It's not much more. I decided to call. We are up against Queen Jack offsuit. The flop comes 9, 9, 7. The turn comes a 7 of diamonds, and the river comes a 3 of spades. And look at that. Victor gets so pumped to take down this $100 pot, but I think he's more excited because finally now he can put a bang sticker on me. I got him earlier in the session, and because he beat me in this pot, I do my best Christian McCaffrey impersonation here, trying to skirt away from Victor. He eventually catches me, puts the sticker on my chest. And last hand of the night, we look down at Ace-King offsuit from the cutoff. I decide to raise it up to $75. It's a 3-bet over a raise from Jake to 25. He ends up putting in the call, and the flop comes Ace-Jack-5 with 2 clubs.
It's a fiesta for everyone but Jake.
I decided to go for my patented Cinco de Mayo here, $55, and Jake finds the call. When the turn comes the 9 of clubs, the action goes check, check. Now you might be wondering why I didn't go for a bet on the turn. Well, I think it's good to balance in some checks when you have top pair. You can't always be firing flop and turn, because then when you check with a hand like Queen Jack or King Jack, the opponent knows that you don't have an ace. Additionally, having the King of clubs in my hand is very important because I'm not worried about another club coming on the river. In fact, I would kind of welcome it, but it doesn't come. The 8 of spades peels off on the river. Another benefit to checking on the turn is it allows the opponent to go for a bluff on the river, whereas if I just fire on the turn large, Jake might have folded and I wouldn't have won any more money. But when I check the turn, it gives him the rope to fire out large here for $225. I didn't check to fold on this river. I find the call. He says we're good, and $720 being pushed over my way. It's kind of awkward when the dealer pushing the pot is also the one you beat in the hand, but that's just the nature of the beast. That's gonna wrap up this video. Huge shout out to everyone for making this one of the coolest experiences on the vlog. Arnold with the awesome hair studio out in Elgin. I'm definitely gonna be popping in every time I come back to my home city, Chicago. It was really fun playing with all of his friends. The tacos were delicious, the drinks were amazing, and of course it was fun bringing Lucas and his friends as well. I got in for $300. I topped up for an additional $100, out for $932, so a profit of $532. But honestly, I'm just way more excited about posting this video and you guys experiencing a barbershop poker game. Who else can say that they posted that on YouTube? If you guys like this video, there's a few other awesome videos on your screen right now. Click one of those to stay watching my videos. Hit the like button, subscribe, and of course, I'll see you in a few days with another vlog. Good luck on the felt. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.